They count also as a young bird ration. So, yesterday they were trading from the 1,000.
Oh, okay.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So sorry, this weather.
Lovely
We
weather.
put a 6 and car wouldn't start, and everything that can go wrong just went wrong today. And sorry, I took three. Okay, so welcome. For those of you who don't know, my name is Cynthia. Sorry, man. Okay. Sorry. For those of you who don't know, my name is Cynthia, and I give these health workshops and so forth. If you want to see any of the previous workshops, or those that I've did, some of you have been to other workshops that I've also done. You can find it on YouTube. You just put in my name, Cindy Knowles. Knowles as in Beyonce, K-N-O, Knowles. And then you can look at whichever one you want. So today we're going to talk about turmeric. And turmeric is one of those super powerhouse plants or herbs, basically. And it's been used for centuries as medicine, as food, and obviously as a plant, because these are the turmeric plants. They broke in the car on the way here, so I'm very sad, but they are busy dying because it is their season to go into hibernation. So this long one here, these two are ginger, and these ones with the big leaves, these are turmeric. So they are rhizome root tuber plants, and so they grow, you get your medicinal value from what is in the ground. But what is on top of the ground looks pretty and so forth, and when they are flowering, they are at their most potent. So, yeah, in winter they hibernate. Sometimes, if the conditions are right, they stick around, whole winter, but normally they just die down and so forth. So they look just like ginger with the roots, except that they are orange. So ginger is like yellowish, slightly yellowish type of thing, and turmeric is an orange type of thing, but the formation is exactly the same, and they grow under the same conditions. So it's a powerhouse spice because it's got lots of phytochemicals. And those phytochemicals are natural compounds that contribute to its medicinal value. So there are different types of phytochemicals, and they are called curcuminoids. So in our body we have receptors. We have receptors for curcumin, we have receptors for gingerol, we have receptors for cannabinoids and so forth. Because our body knows that it needs certain medicinal properties. So when those cannabinoids or curcuminoids or gingernoids are entered into the body, these little receptors attach onto them, and then they suck them in and allow them to become bioavailable and do the actual work. So the phytochemicals, the main one is curcumin, that everybody knows about. That is what the actual herb is known for, curcumin. It is basically responsible for the vibrant yellow color, for the aroma, and for most of the health benefits, like anti-inflammatory and so forth. Then you have, this is a tongue twister, dimethoxycurcumin. And that basically is a modified version of curcumin, and this is responsible for the antioxidants in the turmeric. Then you have bis-dimethoxycurcumin, and that basically is very similar to the others, and it also just sort of supports and improves the curcumin and the other nutrients that are actually in the turmeric. So they work together. And then you have volatile oils that are in the turmeric. You get turmerone, allantoin, and zingiberine. And these give the aroma and the anti-inflammatory compounds and the anti-cancer compounds that are in the turmeric. And then you get polysaccharides, ucolan, A and B, and they support the immune system function. Sorry, because it's a bit too in-depth. So these phytochemicals basically is what makes up the powerhouse of turmeric. And they all work together, and there's different ways that you can extract these phytochemicals. And so basically you can either heat it up. So for example, you can cook turmeric in warm liquids, like making a tea or boiling it. That will then enhance or draw out the compounds. You can also then release essential oils. You can also do distillation, which basically is a different type of method to extract the essential oils, which will include the volatile oils. And then you can combine it with fats, which would be your carriers, your carrier oils, like your coconut oil, your olive oil, and those types of things. And then when you use black pepper, well, you should always use black pepper with turmeric, because turmeric on its own is nice, but it's only good for food if it's on its own, for culinary purposes. But if you want to activate the medicinal value in turmeric, you have to use pepper. And pepper contains pepperin, an active called pepperin, and this pepperin is what actually unlocks the curcumin in the turmeric, and that makes it 2,000% more potent. So you have, and you don't need to use a lot, just a dash of black pepper, just to activate the curcumin. Otherwise, it's only making your rice yellow and so forth. And then, as I mentioned, steam distillation, which basically is you steaming up the turmeric, so then the oils in the turmeric then settle, and then as the steam dissipates, the oil will then filter into what we are capturing, and that's how you make essential oils from turmeric. And then you can infuse it in carrier oils as well. So yes, you can mix it with the fats, but you can also infuse it. So you take the essential oils and infuse it in there, or you can let, for example, if you're going to use ground turmeric, if you're going to use olive oil as your carrier, you would let it stand. It's called curing. You would let it cure for 6 to 8 weeks, and this method you use with any type of herb to make an oil from it. And the oils are very good for topical purposes. So if you want to make a salve or a balm, or just an oil to have on, you would then infuse it into a carrier oil, let it stand for 6 to 8 weeks, so that the active ingredient can be pulled out, and then you use the oil as is, because it will contain the active ingredient. So now, we all know about bori. And people always ask, what is the difference between turmeric and bori? Technically, it's the same thing, but it's processed differently. And bori is originated from the Cape Malay. So it's now a term that is used worldwide, but it originated here with us and in Cape Town. And it basically is that they also use not only the root, the rhizome, but they use the leaves and the stems as well. So bori is normally darker and much more bitter than turmeric. And bori is only used for cooking. So you only use it for culinary purposes, to flavor your food, to make your rice yellow, to pickle your fish, all those things that you use bori for. That is what it does, but it doesn't have medicinal value, really. So, as I mentioned, you need the pepperin to actually activate the medicinal value. But turmeric is processed in a different way. It's lighter, it has a sweeter taste, and yeah, those are the differences between bori and turmeric. And turmeric is mainly or should only be used for medicinal purposes. When you speak about turmeric, you wouldn't speak about making food. Technically, even though people who don't know about bori say turmeric, but you would use the bori for whatever food you are making and turmeric for medicinal purposes. And it has a lot of medicinal purposes.
Is the ground root turmeric more potent than the processed turmeric?
No,
Is it the same?
it's the same because, well, it technically depends on how they process it. But if you are going to take your turmeric out of the ground and you dry it, the value is the same as in the actual turmeric that you would use now. So when you dry it out and you grind it into the powder, that's the only process technically that is done. Obviously, manufacturing, they have more different processes. It goes through a whole mechanical type of thing. But technically, all it is dried root that you grind into a powder. So that is basically how you process it. It isn't or shouldn't be any difference if you dried it out properly.
Because nowadays, like at first, spices was you can taste it's like spice, but now they mix it with to get more money.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So when they do manufacture on a big scale, we don't know what else they put in. Sometimes they say preservatives to make it last longer. But technically it should be lasting longer. I mean, it should be lasting for a very, very, very long time. You just preserve it properly. So you always store your spices in a dark container or out of the sunlight so that it can preserve its efficacy. You can make your own spices for those who were there last week, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
I did a
ago.
workshop on how to make your own spices. So you can make your own spices to avoid that watered down type of spice that you get in the shop. So if you want the potency out of the herbs that you use, and you can make your own spices, and they have its full medicinal value as well. Okay, so now how do you intensify turmeric? It's called symphonic adaptogens. So symphonic adaptogens basically create or intensify the bioavailability of curcumin. And bioavailability simply means that it's able to be absorbed and used in the body. Certain things go in the body and it's not taken up into the body to be used, that means it's not bioavailable. But things that are able to be taken up, especially nutrients, taken up for different processes in the body, that term is called bioavailability. Certain things have a lot of bioavailability, others don't. Other things need certain activators like curcumin. It needs activators which are called symphonic adaptogens to make it bioavailable. Now these symphonic adaptogens basically are black pepper, which I mentioned before because of the pepperin in it. So it intensifies the bioavailability up to 2000%. You can also use cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper also has pepperin in it, but cayenne pepper has capsicum in it. And the capsicum basically stimulates the absorption of the curcumin in the body. So yes, it's making it available to be absorbed, but it will also stimulate where it's having problems being absorbed. It will then stimulate the process and ensure that it is going to be absorbed even more. So always use either black pepper or cayenne pepper to activate the curcumin. Right? Then you can use ginger, and ginger basically secretes enzymes that improve the nutrient absorption of turmeric. So when you are consuming turmeric and you want to get all the other chemicals we spoke of before and all the other nutrients that are in turmeric, you want to combine it with ginger because it basically makes it more absorption. It allows for more absorption to happen of the actual nutrients. And then you get your plant-based fats, which are fats like avocado and those types of fats that you get from plants. Those also make turmeric more absorptive into the body. And those are called symphonic adaptogens. Always try and complement turmeric with one of those so that you can ensure that your body is getting proper nutrients and the most nutrients from the turmeric as possible. Because turmeric, if those nutrients are not unlocked, it will just be flavor for food. And you want to unlock it because it's got amazing health properties. So what are the health benefits of turmeric? That's a lot, but I'm basically just going to encapsulate it in different things. So you have your anti-inflammatory property, and that basically is for all aches, pains. Inflammation is basically any dis-ease in the body. Anything that happens that creates an inflammatory response, which basically means, for example, you had a scratch, now your body tells that those signals go out to say there's a scratch or there's something happening. That process is called an inflammatory response, and then the body sends red blood cells, white blood cells, all of those things and other things to help heal the process. So inflammation just basically is your body telling you there's something wrong in the area. Inflammation can sort of show itself in various ways, redness, swelling, pain, stiffness. There are various ways that inflammation is shown, but the main thing that we know when we hear inflammation is basically with arthritis, right? Because it's in the joint, there's swelling, there's pain, there's everything. So that's how people term inflammation through arthritis and so forth. But technically it is any little thing that's happening in the body. So turmeric helps with any type of inflammation in the body. Even rosacea, whatever types of skin problems, anything that is an inflammation or that requires an inflammatory response, that is what turmeric can help with. Then you get your antioxidant benefits. Now, antioxidant basically is that it fights free radicals. And free radicals are anything that causes problems in the body, basically, in a nutshell. So it can be pollution, it can be stress, it can be your whatever's in your environment that's not healthy. That basically is something that will cause an oxidative stress, they call it, on the body. And that oxidative stress can be overcome with turmeric. Now, the main thing that they attribute oxidative stress to is, well, the main problem is cancer. So cancer is activated through your oxidative stress, which could be the food you eat, your stress levels, being exposed to toxins in the environment. Those types of things will trigger stuff in your body to activate cancer, for example. And so turmeric helps with those types of oxidative stresses. It helps with brain health. So people that have neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or anything like that, this helps. It aids in healing it, but it also helps prevent it. So it's good to always try and incorporate, especially the older you get, try and incorporate that. It also boosts your mental health and your mental acuity. And then heart health. It also really helps with everything that is involved in your heart health. So whether it's your arteries, or your pumps, or your valves, or your heart itself, anything that is part of the structure of how the heart works, turmeric basically reinforces and builds it up and helps it. And then joint relief, as we know, because it helps a lot with that inflammation in the joints. So if you have arthritis, there are different reasons why you would have arthritis. Sometimes it is because there's no synovial fluid in your joints, so your joints is rusty. So like just think of a gate that creaks every time there's no oil, there's no lubricant. So basically that is, in a nutshell, what arthritis is. So your synovial fluid, and there's a whole lot of other factors that sort of leads to why your synovial fluid is not good. For example, water. But this then helps that joint pain by, if you, for example, put some turmeric in a poultice and you put it over your wrist, if your wrist is swollen or sore, and there's inflammation, the poultice will then pull the inflammation out of the joint into the skin. And that is basically how turmeric works. Ginger also works the same with joint inflammation. That's why if you have gout or arthritis, either use turmeric or ginger. And then digestive action. So your whole gut biome, all problems that are in the gut and so forth, turmeric helps a lot because it's got a lot of bioavailable actives in it. And I mentioned a few of them, and they all are really good for the body because they have different things that they do in the body, but they help a lot with your gut health. And your gut health is where hormones are made, like your serotonin, for example, is made in your gut. The majority of it is made in your gut. So your serotonin is your happy hormone. Lots of people have IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, leaky gut, all kinds of problems, which actually attributes to a lot of the problems that we have in our body. And most people don't realize. But if because your immune system actually stems from your gut, in a nutshell. So if your gut is healthy, that automatically would mean that your immune system is reinforced and healthy. So always try and get your gut microbiome in a good footing, so to say, and you will automatically be healthier and happier. And the different medicinal methods that you can use turmeric with is you can obviously make a turmeric tea, which is just you add hot water, let it stand, and you drink it. That's one way to get it in, which most people use. You can make a golden paste. And this basically is where you mix your turmeric and your black pepper in coconut oil to make up a little paste. That paste you can store, you can add honey to that as well, you can store it and then just put it into, like as a tea. So if you store it in the fridge, every morning you just take a spoonful in some hot water, use it as tea. You can use it on inflammation, you rub the paste into the sore area. There's various ways to use it in its golden paste form. You can also make turmeric capsules. At this game, you get these veggie capsules. So it's just capsules, casings that is made from vegetables, basically. So there's no plastic. So you just fill it with turmeric powder and you can make your own capsules that you just ingest if you don't like drinking it or eating it. Some people don't like the taste. So you can use it in that form also. You can make a poultice. So poultices basically are when you can either take the actual herb and then mash it down in a pestle and water to make like a paste or a mush type of thing. Or you can If you have the dry plant, you can also then grind it, or you can take actual ground up turmeric, which is the normal form that everybody uses. That you can then put on a poultice. So a poultice basically is when you take fabric and you put your mixture on the fabric and you put it on the area that's affected and you wrap it up and keep it on there. That is called a poultice, and that then allows the ingredients in the mixture that you have in the poultice to seep into the skin and heal. Then you can make your essential oils through steam distillation. That will then also activate the antimicrobial properties. So antimicrobial basically means it helps with any type of problem. So anything, any pathogen or hofa or whatever that causes sickness or pain or anything like that, that is called antimicrobial. So antimicrobial is across everything. So turmeric has that active in it, and it's mostly sort of activated through the essential oil process. So if you're going to make your own essential oils, or you buy your own essential oils, it's very concentrated in that form. Never put essential oils directly onto your skin, because it can damage your liver because of how concentrated it is. The only ones that you can basically use directly on your skin is tea tree oil and peppermint oil. Even lavender you shouldn't really use as the essential oil. You should always mix it with a carrier oil. And a carrier oil basically is jojoba oil, coconut oil, olive oil, all of those things you can use as a base to use as a carrier oil, and then you can then rub it on the area that you are wanting to take. And then you can gargle your throat with turmeric if you have a sore throat and you don't have anything else. Turmeric also, because it's antimicrobial, helps with any type of illness. So it will help with oral infections as well. And then you can make a honey blend, which basically is you mix honey and turmeric and you use it for whatever ailments. You can use it as a paste or in water, as a tea, or whichever way you want, as a poultice, or however you want to use it. The honey paste is mainly used for wound healing. You can use it for other stuff also, like immune boosting and so forth, because honey has those properties, but it's mainly used for wound healing. So if you have a burn or cut or something that just happened and you don't have a candle or anything else, you can grab some turmeric, grab some honey, make a little paste and put it on. It will also heal the problem. So that is how amazing God is by giving us all these various different types of herbs that can help with the same type of problem. So now, what I want to talk about is how to use turmeric in survival situations. And I'm sure COVID has activated that response in our minds, because that was a big survival situation for a lot of us. Because when there's no electricity, there's a lot of stuff that just don't work, that you just can't do, that you need for something, you know. So even if you're stuck somewhere or something happened, you need to know what you can use in case of, in place of, you know, should something happen. And most people are never prepared when something happens, and they panic and they go like, because how am I going to get help? I need help, you know. But you can help yourself if you just know these little tricks of the trade, whatever they call it. So for wound healing, you can use turmeric as an antiseptic and an antibacterial. So you can use it in the different forms we spoke about, mixing it with honey, or even just with a little water or coconut oil, put it on a burn, put it on a cut, a scrape, whatever. It's got a lot of antimicrobial and antibacterial properties and antiseptic. Now antiseptic means that cleans the wound and the area. So if you don't, even if you don't have water, turmeric, if you just sprinkle some, it will help to clean the area.
Cindy, can you maybe just clarify
Sorry,
this?
louder than I
Oh, sorry, ma'am. Can you just clarify? Is it like a blood coagulant? Because I remember when I was little, my mom had a cut, and the neighbor came over and she said, "Gooi net borrie op, Mrs. Abrams." And I don't know, it seemed to have helped, or is it just a myth?
It is actually a blood coagulant.
Okay.
So that's why people that are on blood thinners should be careful when they're taking turmeric as a medicine,
Okay.
because it could counteract or affect the medication that they are on. But yes, thank you for that point. It definitely can be used as a blood coagulant, and coagulant just basically means it clots your blood. So it makes it thicker if it's too runny. And anticoagulant would mean that it makes it thin. So turmeric does that. It clots the blood. So also if you have a cut or something and it's bleeding profusely, throw some turmeric on. It will then try and stop or clot the blood in the area to prevent more loss of blood. You can use it as anti-inflammatory, as we mentioned. Should you have a spray or anything, maybe you went hiking and you might just happen to have turmeric with you, sprinkle some on there or make little poultice. It will definitely help with the inflammation as well. You can use it as for any injury actually. You can use turmeric in case of an emergency because it's antimicrobial, so it helps with almost any type of problem. You can use turmeric for whatever the issue is at the time. Because it's a digestive aid, you can use it for food poisoning, for bloating. It's not as good as charcoal, activated charcoal obviously, but in emergencies you can use it for food poisoning, or if there's no food or whatever and you're hungry, you need to eat and you're eating whatever it is, the turmeric will help you from getting bloated or throwing up, or it will help the food to just go into the body, so to say. So you can use turmeric in emergency food situations. You can use it as an immune booster, which is how most people use turmeric to boost the immune system. And that also then ties back to your gut health and your digestive issues, because that is basically where your immunity is built, in your gut health. So it's a big immune booster. So if you want to just stay healthy throughout winter, drink turmeric every day. Then it can help with water purification in emergencies. Again, it's not as good as charcoal, so it won't purify as well. But in case of emergency, it can do the necessary job. Obviously, it would be better to filter it or boil it or something. But if there isn't anything like that around, then use turmeric. It will help in an emergency event to help filter the water, help purify the water, but also then whatever's not purified, it will help your body not absorb the poisons basically. So that is why it can help also with food poisoning. And then it's a natural insect repellent, so it will repel mosquitoes, bugs, any of those types of things. So if you're stuck out in the wilderness somewhere, just rub some on you. It will keep those mosquitoes and bugs. And because it's a serious thing, if you are stuck in a situation, you don't realize how the smallest thing can actually be the death of you, so to say. Because those little bugs, depending on what injury you might have, whatever, can cause serious problems for your heart. So this is also a good way. I mean, ticks, for example, can cause life-threatening diseases. So these are just small little ways to help alleviate or counteract those types of problems.
So I'm just thinking with a little bit of a laugh here also. If you're going hiking, I think you just need a little tub of turmeric in your backpack.
Yes.
You sort of, you know, your appointment.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very good emergency.
Can you make a spray out of it?
Spray.
Oh, sorry. Can you make like a spray,
Spray.
like for your body, like with the turmeric?
You can.
But what would be the most effective way?
Yeah, you can. Obviously, it's just that you must just make sure that it's been filtered or dissolved all the turmeric because it might clog up the
Spray
space.
nozzle.
So just turmeric and water, or do I put
Yeah.
turmeric and something else with it?
Now, a dash of pepper would be excellent
Yeah.
Pepper?
to really activate all the bioactives, but just turmeric and water depending on what kind.
Cindy, would pepper or cayenne pepper be more effective in that case?
I would say cayenne pepper.
Okay.
Because
More
cayenne
pepper.
pepper has a lot more other properties to it as well. So, so now preparations for survival usage. So how you can use turmeric in survival instances is you can make your paste. So that basically is where you will mix a little bit of water. You will then be able to gauge if it's too thick or too thin, and then you mix accordingly. But you just mix the two. That is one, and then you will put it on a wound, for example, or whatever the case may be, as the antiseptic. Then you would make your turmeric tea, also to purify the water, to get nutrients into your body. If there's no food, turmeric will boost your immune system if you are in a survival situation to keep you healthy and filter out whatever other toxins you may have ingested. Then you can make an infused oil, as I mentioned before. You just take some coconut and you mix it with the turmeric, and you can use it as an antiseptic to clean wounds. If you don't have anything to clean the wounds, you just use that. You can also then use it for your joint pains and whatever. And then the poultice, as I mentioned. So once again, you just take a piece of cloth and you make either a paste or you mash it down, and you can add other things to it, whatever's around you, depending on what you're going to use it for, that you can then add to it. In emergency situations, if you see there is a turmeric plant around, right, and getting to the root is difficult, you can then use the leaves and the stem, because that's what body is made of. So that it does have properties as well. It's obviously not as potent as the turmeric root itself, but it has the same actives in there, so you can use that in place of. Just make sure that you are crushing it enough to get those juices out of it.
In your little vessel and water that you got.
Yes, or even just a rock on
doing it
a rock
hard.
on a stone or any piece of ground. You just mash it and you take that mash and you put it on whatever and you try to wrap. That's what you can do. And then with the turmeric poultice, you can also use aloe. If there's aloe, so you can make combinations as well. So if you know the properties of certain plants that might be around you,
Yes.
you can use that because it will obviously increase the efficacy of the turmeric by using them together, depending on what your situation is, what your ailment is, injury at the time. So you can also mix and match. For example, this is wild garlic that just started growing. The leaves have the allicin in the wild garlic, and the allicin is very potent as well, and very also an immune booster, and has a lot of healing properties as well. So if you were to mix the two, you'd have a more potent active compound for the wounding, for example. So those are the types of things that you can do in a survival situation. You just need to know what you can use and to identify the plants properly and know how to use it properly in the different situations. So now other uses for turmeric is skincare, obviously, because turmeric can help with hyperpigmentation, it helps with skin lightening and brightening, it helps with skin exfoliation, it helps with wound healing, so it helps with a lot of different stuff on the skin.
Cindy,
You can,
sorry to interrupt you, but when I used to work, we had this one ritual. It's called a Balinese ritual. A Balinese ritual. So they did it actually like for the royals in the Balinese community, right? Like a 7-day, like hulle maak jou mooi vir jou wedding, no? But the one thing I remembered was, and this was in a spa environment, and we were charging people hundreds of rands for it. You could do it at home, just water and turmeric, or maybe it was even bori, make it into a paste, put it on the person's skin, and then once it dries, and you just take your hands and you rub it off, and it gives that golden glow. Hyperpigmentation, it sorts it out, and obviously it smooths your skin out, and it's just body and water. Think about it.
yeah, that's very true. So I speak under correction, but I think in India, before, you know, they also have this ritualistic ceremonies before wedding and whatever, and putting turmeric on the bride's body is also part of that.
They paint you like yellow and you have it like on your
Yeah,
face.
so like she said, it gives you a glow, and it takes.
So you won't be goudgeel, like don't leave it on like forever and a day. So you just make it like thin and it gets powdery as it dries. And then you just, because with that rubbing of your hand, you're sloughing off the dead skin cells, and really I've done it on many different skin colors. You actually look glowy when you climb there, you like mooi.
Yes, you do, yeah. Because it has skin brightening properties. And so, as she said, it takes away your hyperpigmentation. So if you have dark elbows, knees, those types of things, that also takes it away. So the dark areas.
I'm just thinking a lot of ladies, well, not only ladies, gentlemen also have pigmentation, they have pigmentation under the arms.
Yes.
And they often struggle with that. So
Yes.
that could also then assist with that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
What would be better is if you mix it with olive oil or coconut oil.
Okay.
Because those also have beautifying properties
Yes.
to them, you know, with those dark marks and so forth.
Yes.
And it's also hydrating. So it gives back moisture to the skin.
Skin. Sally, sorry,
but
quickly,
white and
I just want to know, I don't know if you move away from the aloe, because I'm very interested in
Hello.
the aloe, because I grow aloe for years, but I only use it with my racing pigeons a certain time. We're using it on the racing pigeons, you know. I mean, everything that you mentioned here, we use it on the racing pigeons,
For
the
what?
natural products. That is to keep them healthy, and also during their racing, because if they race, say they race from Bloemfontein back to Cape Town, they actually experience a lot of different stuff on their route over mountainous areas and stuff like that. So that is actually to keep them healthy
Yes.
through all the winds, storms, whatever they,
Yes,
to
because
get
it
them
boosts
back,
the
you know.
immune system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's why, because I grow aloe, and it used to grow big, and I bring it down that I can control it in a pot. Because otherwise, if you leave it like that, it goes your whole garden.
But you could sell those big leaves.
Eh?
You could sell those big leaves because to buy aloe products in the shop is very expensive. And aloe has a lot of medicinal properties.
Because the thing is, what I use also, that if I want to say I want to replant plants,
Yes.
I use the
It's a
aloe
growth
juice.
stimulant,
You know.
yeah.
But for me, is what I'm struggling with is to get all the juice out of the leaf. There's a certain way. I don't know if you must use a roller pin, you know, like.
Just cut the edges off. Like I use it like when I wash my hair, I boil it, I cut it open and then split it and then I scrap all the inside out.
Yeah,
in
it's
the
like a
pot.
gel, yeah.
Come off like a gel.
Yeah,
it's a gel.
And then you add rosewood to it and I boil it and then I wash my hair with that and it gives
Yeah.
strength to your hair and your hair growth.
Yeah, but I
Yes.
haven't got any more ideas.
And if you soak,
They use it for a lot of steam,
does that.
like people
Does
steam
that
eczema and that
work?
when they use
Sunburn
it, yeah.
also.
If you soak the aloe leaf in water, because I saw this one guy like he cut it off, and when you first soak it in the water, then it seems like it's almost like easier for him to extract, or is that just?
So
not
the
a real
reason
thing?
why you would put aloe in water is to take that bitter taste out. So it's got tannins which causes that bitter taste.
Yeah, it's
So
bitter taste.
anything that has tannins in needs to be soaked to take out that bitter taste, whether it's acorns or aloe or any type of plant.
Okay.
Soak it in water, it draws out the tannins, then it's much easier to use and ingest.
Oh, so that's only for ingestion.
Yes.
It's got nothing to do with just making it easier.
Also, you can drink it also.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
must
yes.
drink it.
But be careful because too much aloe can actually cause spontaneous abortion.
Oh.
Oh,
So
but
if you're pregnant
but
and
if
you
you're a boy,
consume too
I
much
won't
aloe,
get pregnant.
you will.
you say from that.
It has some negative effects on male fertility also if you use too much. But as you know, everything in moderation anyway. So, but aloe is extremely healthy. It has a lot of medicinal properties, but today we talk about it.
Even both my, if I just add on that, like my work journey, working journey, I was like where we built like moss gas and stuff like that. We used to go in when it was just bush and stuff like that. Then these herbs is actually because there's no doctors away and
Yes,
stuff like we used to work 24 hours, 18 hours on a project, you know. And that is how I work on mountain areas. If I talk about on the diamond fields and stuff, there's no buildings, no doctors. You must doctor yourself, you know.
I actually read a story about these guys that were out in the sea. They
Yeah, I
pull
was
up
one
the
of them
gas
also.
and all that,
Yeah.
yeah. And so this one guy, he became their doctor just because he knew how to use herbs. And he had brought some herbs with him. So whatever problems they had, he would then fix because of his knowledge of how to use this and how to use that. And he just had the general spices, but he knew its properties and how to use it as medicine. So
I was also a doctor, like for the Europeans, you know.
all of us
It's
can
true.
be
You can all
little
be
doctors
Yeah,
in our
I
traditional
take from
doctors in
South
our own
Africa
right.
with me. I get my honey, pot of honey, rooibos tea, because rooibos tea you can't buy everywhere. You take it from Cape Town, and then garlic, apple cider vinegar. So when they coming from Europe, my colleagues, they used it's winter by then. Now they come in Africa like Sanana, big muscles, but then second day they sick.
Yes.
Then they look, where's Kanamaya? We're looking for Dr. Kanamaya. And I mark a whole
Yes.
medication, you know. It's just with a cup, like a cup of tea.
Yeah. Yeah, because changing weather, changing environment,
yeah.
all those types of things affect the body.
Mhm.
And if your immune system is not strong, you will get sick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you don't need medication. You just
Yeah.
need to know what are the active ingredients
Exactly,
in
yeah.
certain herbs and spices that you have, and just take that. So like I mentioned, for those of you who were in previous workshop with me, I tried, okay, firstly I don't remind you, but secondly, I try and only use natural medicine for whatever ailments I have. So that I can prove that it does really work. Because I speak to people, I can speak with authority and knowledge and experience from the use of these things. So knowledge is power.
Yeah.
It can save a life. And now you know you can use turmeric in almost any type of survival situation. So you could save other people's lives just by the little knowledge that you have. So try and incorporate these things into your daily life, because the more you do it, yes, the healthier you will become and the more fortified your immune system will be. But you can then, so the more you do something, the more it sticks in your brain. You can then easily tell people when they say, oh, I have this and oh, I have that. Like at the 2 workshops ago, I think you were there, my auntie was busy testifying about
Oh, I
her
was
little
also there.
shingle situation.
Oh.
Yeah,
7
she
days.
she didn't know what it was, and she asked me because it was like, what, the terrible. So I said, no, it's shingles, and I told her what she had to do because I had shingles by my eyes, and by your eyes it's very dangerous
That's
because you
true.
can go blind and it goes
Yeah.
into your eyes. So when I first noticed the little white pustules, I realized, okay, no, it is shingles. So then I made cayenne pepper and coconut oil mixture and I put it on. So shingles basically attacks your nerve endings. That's why it's so very painful. And that is due to stress mainly and your body being completely run down. So when you, and cayenne pepper helps with nerve ending pain. So when you put the cayenne pepper on, it immediately killed the pain from the nerve endings. And yes, the shingles took its course of becoming big and whatever, but there was no pain whatsoever after the first day after I started using that. And when she used that, the second, because hers was so advanced, after the second day there was no more pain. And she just kept on applying it. And yes, it looked even worse, but there was no more pain, which is the main thing. So by you adopting these things into your lifestyle, it is easier for you to then help other people, and people can then see by your life and what you use to help your problems, how they can then also use it, and that's how you witness. That is also a form of ministry, because you are showing people how awesome God is by giving these plants that have these medicinal values that can actually help them to be healthier and help them with whatever ailments, and that is how God can work.
Cindy, I want to reiterate that she had just said. We never know. We don't know what's going to happen the next minute.
Exactly.
But you may just be in a situation where you can change, or you can save somebody's life.
Yeah, but true.
So you need to remember these things and try and use it where you can, so that you don't forget. Because you know, if you know, what did Cindy say the other day? What must I do? You know, if you know and you've tried it before and you've done something, remember it, because it can save a life. So that is important. Thank you for that.
Like in the Indian movies, they will always say that you milk at night and turmeric.
Yes, yes, yes. So that is, they call it a turmeric latte, or golden milk. It helps you to sleep. There's also, you know, and if you add a little coconut oil in there, it will create, and some Himalayan salt creates this amazing mixture that it's all good. I've never tried it before. But I do believe, and knowing what the actors do,
They put the cardamom also in there. The cardamom,
yes,
elaichi, they
Yeah.
crush it, and then that goes in there. They put some other spices.
yeah, there's different ways to make
to
it.
make it.
I just want to know is because a lot of kids get eczema, especially I got a grandson that's struggling with eczema. Can you use these also on eczema?
Yes. So turmeric can be used for eczema because it has skin healing properties and skin brightening, all of that, and because it's antimicrobial mainly, which means it can help with any type of problem. It can help with eczema. It would be best if you add a little other stuff. Like
And the aloe.
Aloe also helps with skin problems like eczema.
Yes.
Just coming back to your aunt and her shingles, I know someone who has Crohn's disease, which is obviously more like an autoimmune thing, but sometimes like she has like a lot of pain like in her joints, and mostly almost everywhere she explains, would the cayenne pepper and the coconut oil be advisable for somebody like that?
Yes, because it can't do any harm.
That's
What
a-
I would suggest for aches and pains is to maybe combine turmeric with cayenne pepper and ginger. You know, because
So
the
just
pains are very severe.
Just
But
put
also you don't know where it's stemming from basically.
Yeah.
So just to ensure that it's, you know, going everywhere that it needs to, those three, because because the cayenne pepper will stimulate circulation, which will bring healing, and then the ginger and turmeric has the anti-inflammatory properties, things which will then also help with that actual problem. But it would be good for her to just drink turmeric.
If she can. Like she's got, okay, medically.
Well, it helps with digestive issues and Crohn's
Medically, she's
disease
got other
is
things
a
that
digestive.
I've never heard, like other people have had to deal with. She's quite a particular case. In fact, she's been used for most of her life as a guinea pig. That is how. So I was just.
Yeah, but
So sometimes
depending on
the,
issues on stuff that would
the
cause-
digestive can't always take everything. So that's why I was thinking of something topically.
Okay.
Mm.
But I mean, turmeric helps with digestive problems, most of them.
Most of
So, and that should sort of help from inside and outside. But you can try if you're too scared topically as well.
Okay.
But I must try this.
So other uses is it whitens the teeth, it helps with brain health, so not only with degenerative diseases but also boosting your acuity and mental capacity. It can be used as an antibiotic because once again it is antimicrobial, which means it's used for anything and everything. It's a blood purifier. So if you're having bacteria in the blood or issues like that, because bacteria in the blood causes lots of health problems. It can be anything from acne to joint issues to cardiovascular issues to anything, because your blood feeds all your organs. And so it depends on how it sort of manifests itself. So by purifying the blood, you could help other problems as well. Then it will strengthen your ligaments. It will help with coughs and asthma, stomach ulcers, eczema and psoriasis, acne, other kinds of skin problems, any type of wound. It prevents and fights cancer. It's very big on preventing and fighting cancer. If you are having chemo, it basically sort of helps fight the side effects of chemo. Kind people also does it because they have terrible side effects and they're getting nauseous and they feel sick and terrible afterwards. So it also helps you get back on your feet after you've had chemo. It helps with Alzheimer's, weight management, sorry. It detoxifies, once again also like the blood purifying. It improves insulin resistance. So if you are on your way to becoming diabetic, which means that you have insulin resistance, because that's where it starts, this can then help counteract that and prevent you from getting diabetes. It's an astringent, which basically means it closes your pores and stuff. So if you have a cut, yes, it will purify and clean the wound because it's antibacterial, but the astringent part will also pull the cells together to sort of close them up also. And then it's a stimulant, as we know. But one of the main things is it's overall health immune booster. And we can alleviate all these other problems if we ingest it every day, especially in winter, as your immune booster. And so today I'm going to show you a few DIY things that you can make from turmeric. I want to make a turmeric balm. I want to make an immune booster and a skin brightening exfoliator. So I'm going to start with the immune booster. So these are citrus peels that I dried out in the warmer. This is pomegranate, orange, lychee, and so forth. And the skins of citric fruits have much more vitamin C than the actual fruit itself because it's more concentrated in the skin. It's like essential oils. So this is like the hard version of essential oils. It's a very concentrated version of the actual fruit. So it is very good to keep your skins dried out and reuse it. At the Spice workshop, we showed them how to make vitamin C powder. So we're going to make a combination today of vitamin C powder using any type of citrus fruit And we're going to combine it with some turmeric to make a potent immune booster for winter. So I'm just gonna crush everything. I'm just showing you. And always make sure it's very, very, very dry. And then it will make a powder like that.
You dry it in the oven?
Yes, you can dry it in the oven, but it will take very long.
Okay. And if you leave it
So,
outside, how long does it
You
take?
can leave it in the sun, but
Okay.
preferably in like a dehydration box. You can make your own. So you just make sure that it has a net covering or something.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, to keep all the
Flies.
Moist and
Will you
dust
teach
and-
us, Cindy, will you teach us how to make a dehydration box sometime? Maybe not today, but sometime, because a dehydrator is so expensive.
It is, I would need, yeah, okay. Sure.
Talk about it.
Okay, so you would put some of that powder. So you would take equal parts. Equal parts means you
The
can
same
take
amount.
1 spoon of this, take 1 spoon of that. So I always keep my pepper and turmeric together. The only thing about turmeric is it makes everything yellow.
You must geel, ja.
So maybe calamus.
Equal parts.
Equal, yeah, equal.
Now, turmeric and
And,
orange peel,
an orange peel.
whatever you
And your pepper.
Now you would
No, no.
use just a dash,
Yes,
Oh.
just to
pepper.
activate the turmeric. Just a dash. Not a lot.
And it must be black pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
because of
White
the
pepper
turmeric
is
pan.
very processed and
Yes.
is made from a different corn. Pepper.
Can you grind from peppercorns also?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it must be black pepper.
Black pepper.
Okay, so you would mix it together and then in a glass. So then every day you can take
What about it?
Ja, maar dat is wel waar.
and you can add some honey if you want. And you can drink that. And that would be your immune booster shot.
Wow.
Packed with vitamin C,
C,
and because it's more than your oranges, it's a concentrated form of vitamin C, which means it's extremely potent, along with all the turmeric actives in there, and the black pepper activated all the turmeric actives, the cumin and everything. This is all you need.
Same like this. Immune booster.
So,
No, but
No, that's not good.
that is,
Can you just preach over
Yeah, what is no, that's it.
that is
That's
not
natural.
Carbonated flavors is not good.
it's not good, yeah.
sorry, can you drink that every day?
Yeah.
Just a once off.
Early morning.
What you can do is you can pour it into a tray, ice cube tray, and you can freeze it. In summer, you can then drink it, like that.
But you can drink it every day.
Yeah, early
Yes,
morning.
every day.
On a
If you
empty
want
stomach.
to, you can add some ginger powder, just to give you more of a
Boost.
boost. Garlic also if you
Yeah.
want to, but I mean this is all you need as an immune
Immune
booster.
booster.
So those immunity shots, basically, this will be stronger
Okay.
because of the vitamin C.
And it's so expensive
It's
to
very
buy it.
expensive. So you can start your own little business, just making
So I would just
vitamin
add,
C booster shots.
No,
I would
but
just
I mean,
add,
just to sustain your family and your
Exactly,
neighbor
you
Yeah.
can
even.
sustain your family, so
Yeah.
knowledge is power once
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So drink this every day and you should be okay through winter.
I'ma just add
Thank you.
I'ma just add that powder, orange powder to my pigeon stingers also. Because I use all these,
Yes.
you know, like cinnamon powder we're using for that's on a Tuesday feeding. But
Yeah, cinnamon you can also add to this.
Yeah.
What I do sometimes is I make a combination of cinnamon because it's antibacterial.
Yeah,
There's
very
a lot
good,
of healing properties as well. Cinnamon, ginger, turmeric, little black pepper,
Wow.
little cayenne pepper. Make that mixture with honey
yeah.
into like a liquid paste. And I keep that in the fridge and then I do these
Okay.
shots first. So you can do that as well.
Rosemary is also a herb.
Yes.
Can you add that also? No?
It depends on what you want to use it for. If you want to use it as an immune booster, maybe not rosemary, but if you have a cough, like a chest infection or something, then you can use rosemary or thyme. Thyme preferably because it's
Yeah.
more for chest
Yeah,
infections.
I'm looking for that.
Thyme can also open up your nasal cavities and so forth if you just chew on some of the
Diabetes you struggle to grow with, yeah.
but yeah, depending on what the end use is, that will determine what you're going to add
Okay.
to it. Okay, next I want to make the skin brightening exfoliator. So I'm going to take some bicarb, some coconut oil, some aloe, and turmeric powder once again. I thought that Natasha's going to be here because she always brings, you know, the actual plant.
Yeah.
So I thought she would bring some turmeric, but I'm sure you all know what turmeric looks like.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yes.
Sorry, what kind of aloe is that? The type,
this is aloe ferox.
the Phoenix one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So these leaves are smaller. They have slightly different medicinal properties, but all aloes generally have
That's same.
the same basic properties.
Backup plus aloe, turmeric, backup, and coconut oil.
We are going to be very busy, Lorraine, make medicine.
Yes.
Okay, so how you use aloe is you will cut it in, you slice off the sharp parts, and then you try and slice off the one end as close to the skin as possible. And then this you scrape out like that.
That's what
The inside.
Lorraine, gooi sommer die blare in alles dan.
If you use a cutting board, it will be easier. But that's basically with a spoon is how you can scrape out the
Scrape all
majority of the aloe. Okay, you can also try to scrape some of this aloe.
Is that also equal parts or doesn't really matter?
It doesn't really matter.
Sorry, the other thing that I want to add is it the turmeric, it's just normal turmeric, or is it organic turmeric?
Obviously organic turmeric is best,
But what you're using is just normal turmeric.
it's just normal turmeric. But because it's still turmeric.
But not body, it must say.
It must be say turmeric.
Yes.
Yeah.
Must say turmeric.
Is the
Try
organic
to
more?
buy turmeric, not bobri. And also see, always try and read the ingredients if they are, because it shouldn't have any other ingredients. It should only be turmeric.
Turmeric, yeah.
Sometimes they put the plant name, sometimes they just put like on here, they just put ground turmeric. But preferably that should be all that is in there.
In there.
But like here, with this black pepper, here's the ingredients is maize starch, dextrose,
It's not pure.
water, you know. You don't want so many things.
Yeah.
And obviously that they use to make it go
Make
further,
further, yeah.
and preservatives and so forth. But
So the
least-
organic turmeric is it more effective than the normal one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Look, the organic would be what comes out of
What's
that
out of
pot
the
when
ground.
you
Yeah,
harvest
so
it.
organic is
What comes
from
out of
the
the
ground.
ground.
Okay.
But also depends on
Who's
what
gonna-
type of
Soil.
what type of pesticides. was
Okay,
used.
okay.
So if
Pesticides,
it's
yeah.
homegrown and you didn't use pesticides,
Yeah,
you
that's
just
alright.
use natural herbicides, then that would be okay.
Okay.
That's organic.
Anything that doesn't have, there wasn't pesticides used, there's no
Because how do we even
chemicals.
know?
So how do you know exactly?
No, you pay more for that.
That's why you must make your own
But how do you
garden.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it is best. That's
And all
how-
the skin.
If you have a blender, it would be better to blend it just to get a pulp. Otherwise, you just squash it. But I'm not going to do all of that today. So we
Put it through
will,
an old piece of pantyhose and then you just beat like the pulp and then the juices come out.
That's why you must come visit more.
Sophia.
Because I know
That's all.
when I started with my hair journey, that's all the food that is growing in the
But
garden. Like trying and
that with the skin, they put it in a blender.
You know why? I've read why so much people get cancer. As of pesticides that they use on the farms. And Europe is actually banning all pesticides that they use. It's just South Africa
so
still.
don't kill me with what I'm going to say now.
We won't.
The Western Cape, the southern suburbs, they are busy spraying glyphosate
They all
on
Yeah, I
our rice
the
and our wheat.
walkways
Yeah.
to kill the weeds.
Yeah,
But
it's dangerous.
But we're breathing it in and that gives you cancer.
No,
also it causes lots of chest,
Chest
problems,
problems, yeah.
skin problems,
Yeah.
activates autoimmune diseases, stuff like that.
that's why I see in Durban now, is it not Durban now? They actually protest because they put all these services, they increase the prices on the services, but they don't do the proper cleansing services and stuff like that, you know?
But this is now not
It's
a
very
political.
No, I know. No, I'm not talking about political, I'm just, everybody's hygienic every day.
Look, I mean, knowledge is power. Those who don't know, they don't care. All most people know is pesticides actually save the crops from the pests, you know, so they think it's a good thing. But those who actually know more about health know that it's actually not a good thing for the health. And what is actually the cause of a lot of health problems.
I think a lot of us go through life with blinkers on,
Yeah.
and we don't think about all of these things. And this is why this is so important to get people to. You will speak to somebody and spread that word so that people know that they can make better choices. You know, in the
True.
future. And perhaps influence choices made by governments, etc. As to
Yeah,
what
but
they do.
also it's good like that, but you get today's youngsters, they don't want to, when you talk about gardeners like, you know, I'm talking about experience with my two.
Like I said, in the season, they will come to a point sometime in their
Yeah,
lives.
but they're over
Because we
40
all
already.
somehow brought back, hopefully, we all brought back into, you know,
Yeah.
to nature in some way or another.
Okay, so I added everything together. This is the bicarb mixed with the coconut oil, and I added some of the aloe. So the aloe is for the smoothing and hydrating. The bicarb is for exfoliating. It also has medicinal properties. And coconut oil also has beautifying, softening, brightening properties. It would be best if you stop using lotions and use coconut oil as your lotion or olive oil.
Wow.
Because the fact that it is actually very healthy for your skin.
And you
And
can
it doesn't have all the toxic chemicals in it.
and you can take certain herbs and stuff, or even weeds like you taught us, and infuse them.
Yes.
Like you told us now, let it grow for 6 to 8 weeks, and then and then get the benefits of that.
So herbs, plants like the chickweed and so forth, like you saw from whatever was there, I made a little wound healing thing. And this Saturday, my family came to have lunch, and my uncle had terrible eczema by his eye, and it was like red and dry and swollen, and I gave him some of that because I still had left. And it literally
Took it away.
went down and started decreasing through the afternoon. It was amazing how you could see the stuff was actually working on his eye, and that was just weeds
Yeah, I know,
that
yeah.
was in there. You know, we used chickweed, we put a little ginger in,
Yeah, what was
and
it?
we used
Yeah.
other herbs, weeds, sorry, and we made a skin healing balm from that. So knowledge is power, and using what is around you can definitely heal you. Okay, so this would be like your skin brightening serum. As she mentioned, they just use turmeric and water. Just turmeric and water, but if you add these other things, it is more beneficial because it's more moisturizing, it gives more nutrients to the skin, it helps build up the lipid layer on the skin. So I'm just going to put just a little on here.
You can put vitamin C also.
Yes, because vitamin C is very healthy for your skin. So you can also put some of that vitamin C that you just made. And then you rub it on. And the bicarb will exfoliate all the old dead skin as well as the turmeric, because it also has detoxifying and exfoliating properties. And you leave it on for 10 to 15 minutes. And then when you're done, you wipe it off. Oh, my nails. This is the only problem I have with turmeric is next.
So we used to
use gloves.
We used to wear gloves when we did the
Use
exfoliate so that we
gloves.
didn't skin everyone.
But I mean, it would have been good for you because those nutrients and things would have been absorbed into your skin, which would have, boosted a lot of things for you. But, so I'm just going to leave this on there while I make the balms. That's how you make that.
And how long can you keep the mixture for?
You can leave it in your fridge, keep it up like until you use it all. 'Cause
So you can make it in bulk.
Yes, you can.
Why you
It
make
can't go off because there's no water in it.
Exactly.
Once there's water, that allows for microbes to come and
Yeah,
bacteria.
it's just
and-
natural.
But if there's no water, keep it in an airtight container and then it'll be fine. Okay, so next I want to make turmeric bombs. So this basically, I'm not going to use the actual ingredients measurements, I'm just showing you how to make this. So you would need a third cup of organic turmeric, preferably organic, but whatever turmeric you can get. You would use 3 tablespoons of honey, 1 tablespoon of coconut, a dash of pepper, and a dash of ginger. I didn't bring ginger, but I'm going to use some of the leaf. So we will use, and I'm just putting 1 spoon of sugar in.
That's a third.
Third avocado.
these ones.
In the kitchen. But you don't actually.
Well, I don't want it to be too liquid because we're going to have balls from
Water
it.
like that.
But yeah, I mean, always it's easier.
I don't like
But depending on what you're using it
it's
for.
process. And in its natural.
And then
it's called
honey.
coconut salt. You can always put it like in a cup of toast.
This one.
Is that 3 tablespoons?
And obviously not odorless coconut milk.
No, but if it's organic, then you should have on the right track. But preferably not odorless because we don't know what process they use.
It must actually smell like a coconut and
Mm.
act like a coconut.
Preferably.
You know what I mean? Because they do all this funny stuff and we end up trusting the advertisement and we pay that money and we get fooled all the time, man. You know?
I think I got this.
Your pants.
And just a dash. So, because we are not ingesting any of this, it's okay to use this type of thing.
Okay.
Because it's all just topical and it's weird. Well, actually, you can ingest it because it's all healthy ingredients, but you would obviously want the most pure form. You know, so there's nothing wrong with having this type of black pepper because it will still contain pepper in it, which is why you actually want to use the black pepper. And then we would mix. everything together.
Can you also use Sandy chilies
For your
and
skin.
dry it and use it in that form?
If you want to. You can add anything for whatever purpose to the base.
Because I got access to chilies.
But isn't it going to burn your skin if you're using a topical chili? No.
It could, but the burning sensation would only be it's bringing blood to the area. Because cayenne pepper, basically when you use it topically, it stimulates circulation.
Oh.
So it brings blood to the area. That's the warm feeling that
Yeah.
you get.
I'm just thinking like if it gets into
So I'm using the ginger from my
areas where you
tree.
didn't wish it should have gotten into with the chili. Use your imagination.
You're gonna burn.
That could be giving yourself a heart.
As long as you're not getting it in your eye.
Or your nether bits. I'm alluding to
But
that.
anything else is fine because it's not burning in terms of it's causing damage. That burning sensation is a medicinal thing that is happening. You know, it's pulling or it's getting blood to the area. That is that burning heat sensation, which is what can you smell the ginger.
And it's only the
What's
leaves.
potent here in my nose? Did I feel much of an
Yes,
smell?
please.
You can smell it from here.
It's very strong.
That's the only herb I ever got in my garden. The ginger.
So, and this is not even the actual ginger. This is just
Just
the
the
leaf,
leaf,
and it smells so potent. So, you can also use every part
Oh,
of the plant.
So can you do the same with the turmeric leaf?
Yeah. But,
Like you want to be in there.
but depending on its usage. So it is always best to use the actual tuber. If you don't have, you can use the leaves. Leaf is like the last resort. If you don't have.
But how cool is it that you've got ginger leaves, man? How cool is that? Like not every person says, oh, I went to my garden and I got some ginger
And I bought
leaves.
it from Natasha.
But
She's
it's
selling those the little pieces for $5, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
What,
then
the
also
ginger,
the-
yes,
Yes.
in spring.
spring. Can't plant it now. Garlic you can plant.
Garlic you can plant now.
So you still have like end of July.
Ginger, yeah. I think turmeric
So if
also.
you plant it now, it's just gonna hibernate.
Yeah.
So nothing's gonna happen
Happen,
until
yeah.
spring.
But your garlic still has like time to.
Yeah, till the end of this month.
Okay, so you would make such a paste, right? And then from here, you would make little balls.
Okay.
That is for the capsule.
The capsule.
Yeah.
No.
And
Okay,
maybe
this
you
is
must just have a glove shine. We're gonna bring you with
Fine call.
See, because I wasn't following the instructions.
measurements.
Like carb, yeah.
The recipe I wasn't following.
So how much that cost?
Teaspoons.
Or maybe just post it
One
later the
teaspoon.
recipe.
But actually bicarb is optional, you don't need to put it in. Bicarb also has medicinal properties. It makes, I'm just using this to make it thicker. But the original recipe doesn't have bicarb in it. But you want to make little balls. And I didn't follow the original recipe, so it's not as thick as it should be.
Or must it be
So
more
when you make
thicker?
the bombs, how many milliliters or grams or?
Okay, so this is the thing. A quarter cup of organic turmeric. So the turmeric is going to make it hard and thick and quarter cup. 3 tablespoons of honey, 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, a dash of black pepper and a dash of ginger. So I don't have enough turmeric for this, so that's why it's not binding. Binding is the word binding. But basically you make little balls like this and you then put it on a plate like that. And then you let it dry out or get hard in the fridge. Right? And then those balls, once they are hard, you then put them in a jar, airtight jar or something, and you store them in the fridge, and every morning you can just take it out and chew on it.
Oh. Wow.
As your booster.
Oh, okay.
So you'll have
En 'n
these
mens kry
little
nou nie
balls.
geel tande nie, Cindy.
Turmeric whitens teeth, so
No, I just want to know because I'm like, yeah,
anything that's going to make your teeth whiter.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
It sounds like baking soda.
Yes.
It will whiten your teeth.
Okay, is it a real thing?
While lowering
boosting
pH
your
in
yellow
your
teeth.
body, if you add baking soda. As you can see, the original doesn't have, but there's nothing wrong with adding baking soda because it can only be healthy.
Beneficial.
And so that basically is the different ways you can use turmeric, the different things you can make turmeric with.
Even if the housewives know what the baking soda, they won't buy all that stuff for cleaning.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
But you need like quite like a
You need a lot of baking
Lot of
soda
baking
and a lot
soda.
of
I've
vinegar
been
to
down
clean the
there.
house.
Yeah, but I mean, if you use that stuff, you don't need to go buy handy and all that stuff. Mr.
If you want to be
Spray bottle,
healthier,
bottle
that
spray
is the
shower.
healthier option.
Option.
And the
Cleaning, to make cleaning products like the equivalent of a Mr. Min.
Mm.
You would take orange peels and vinegar, let it stand for a few weeks, and then that liquid is the same as a Mr. Min. So you can polish your furniture, wipe off whatever with it. So it has a little bit of a glow, and it feels a lot softer. So you can make that facial mixture, brightening facial exfoliant for your skin. You can make it for the dark armpits or whatever, dark spots, hyperpigmentation. You can drink your immune boosters, or you can make a paste like this. Because this is now not very bound. I'm just going to put this in a jar and I'm going to use it as tea. So every day I'm just going to take a spoon and I'm going to add water and drink it as a tea. Because it's got all the active ingredients that I need in there. For a tea, because it already has the honey. So that is today's workshop.